It's been about 6 years since I've played SWTOR, and I wanted to take another look at it now that it's free to play, and now that Star Wars is really popping on the internet. We got new movies, we got The Mandalorian, and also they got a new Star Wars, the Knights of the Old Republic, coming back. I don't know if it's going to be a sequel or if it's just a remake. Everybody's still kind of like debating that, but yeah, it's a lot of stuff to look forward to. So today I was going to be highlighting the differences between free to play and also the paid subscription part, as well as just kind of running through everything in the game that I've played through so far. I've got about 77 hours as of right now, and I did play back in the day when it first came out in 2011, but I didn't really last too long. I was probably on it for about like 6 months on and off to almost a year. So I didn't really spend too much time in it originally, but I spent way more time now than I did before. First off, I know everybody's interested in player population. It's on Steam now. I figured I'll show that number because look, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and there's 7,400 people playing right now. And this is just Steam alone. So there's also people also playing on the Origin still, on the Origin launcher thing. So I don't know what the numbers are on that, but it's looking really good. Now, I was going to go through a lot of what this game does really well. The good in this game, we got the story, which is by far the best experience that you're going to get out of this game, because you got basically 8 different classes that you can play that branch out with different storylines. The story content is all doable free to play, which is amazing. Another really nice thing of how they added their level scaling is that if you over level a certain area, it would actually bring you down to that level of that zone or that planet or whatever, so that you can be able to participate in it while still gaining XP and while still working on your legacy experience and all that stuff. So it makes it worth it for even high level people to come back and help low level players, which is a very good thing for an MMORPG like this. Most, if not all, of the content you're going to be doing is soloable. Aside from like flashpoints and things like that probably take a lot more gear for you to solo. All of the core content is soloable thanks to the companions. I gotta say, this is easily the best pets I have ever seen in an MMORPG. I don't think any game is going to come close to ever having pets like this that are not only a very good teammate, but they also do their roles extremely well. You can change them from tank to healer and to DPS, and each role they do very well. So if you set them to be a healer, they're gonna spam heals on you all day. They won't let you die. Like, you gotta go through some crazy stuff for you to actually die in this game. The subscription service of this game is pretty interesting, because what they did with this is that they made it so that if you subscribe for at least 1 month, you unlock all the expansions. And you also unlock the ability to level up to level 75, because the core game of free to play, you can only get to level 60, because it gives you some flexibility to be able to say, okay, I'm going to subscribe for 1 month for $15, and then I'll unsubscribe next month, but I'll still have access to all these things. So that's pretty badass. I really like that concept. But there is some issues with the way this system works, and I'll come back to that a little bit later. And another really nice thing is the legacy system. It's basically like achievements that you get while you're actually playing. So let's say if you play a bunch of different alts and you play like one guy and you're focusing on it, you have 2 XP bars. So the one on the bottom, the purple one, is the legacy experience, and this goes towards every character on your account. You can basically level up your first character, and then you can level up the second one and still have the perks of the first one. So let's say, for example, if you want to have like fast traveling to certain areas, or you want to have like to get your speeder bike earlier than you're supposed to, because normally you got to wait until level 20. In this case, you can purchase the little upgrade with the in-game money, and it will give you access to the mounts right at level 1, so you can be able to do that. It's really awesome that they added this system. That way you can have extra perks for making out, so it kind of rewards you for playing new characters. And on top of that, there is an achievement system in this, so that when you actually complete the main story of a certain like archetype, it unlocks all the little bonuses, so that it even shares the buff that that character would normally have to all your alts. So whenever you pop the buff on your alt, it will also pop the buff of your main character, as well as give you the bonuses if you clear all the companion stories on top of that. So it's really, really worth it. And this game makes it really nice for you to actually make alts and see them through all the way to the end to see all the story. So it's very enriching to actually go back and do this. The only game that actually reminded me of this is Guild Wars 2, that rewards you a lot for running around and gathering all the achievements and all that stuff. And there's also like a transmog type system that they have in it, so that you can change your parts. So like, let's say if you don't like the chest piece that you're currently wearing, you can actually keep your old one, or you can go find like a new piece and just kind of slap it on, so that way you can keep the look. As far as the coloring though, you're gonna have to at least be the premium. By premium, I meant preferred status, which has a lot less limits than free to play, but it's still pretty limited. So let me get to that right now and tell you the bad parts about this game. First off, the combat is very old school. So if you're not familiar with old school MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, Warhammer Online, or like Lord of the Rings Online, you know, those old ass games, then you're gonna hate the combat in this game. And it took me a while for me to like get accustomed to it, especially since I just got off of playing Phantasy Star Online 2, which had a really involved combat system. You know, so to go from that to going to this tab targeted, just stay in place, really no flexibility to be able to kite and stuff, any way to like dodge out of the way or do any of that stuff. I mean, there is the avoiding of a red circle on the ground, but for most of the cases, like I said before about the companions being really good at their job, if you set them to heal, you can stand in all the red circles you want and never take damage, you know, so it makes it kind of pointless. Obviously this changes once you go into group content. But if you're okay with this kind of system, you can definitely get right into it, especially if you've been playing World of Warcraft and you jump into this, you're going to be right at home. It's the same type of combat system. You know, tab target is stay in place, just smash buttons. Like I spent most of the time in this game staring at the skill bar instead of actually staring at what's going on my screen, which is pretty sad. Because, you know, like I said, back in Phantasy Star Online 2, I was very involved with looking at what's happening on the screen, looking at the tells of the enemy to see if when I should dodge or when I should parry and when I should like block something, you know. So that game was a hell of a lot better with a combat system. And if they took the combat system of Phantasy Star and put it into this game, oh my god, it would be amazing. If they would just remaster this game, I would be really fucking happy. It would really be awesome, but I don't see that ever happening. And if they did, it would probably be a whole new MMO, which would destroy this one, which would be really sad because the story is really, really good in this game. There's no incentive to team up with other players out in the world. This is a big problem because we are playing an MMORPG, and most of the time when I see other players, I'm like, ah, shit, this is another person I gotta compete with. Because that's basically how it works in this game. BioWare is not really taking into effect and upgrading their systems to be in line with other MMORPGs of this time. Games like Elder Scrolls Online, or even Phantasy Star Online 2. I know I keep jumping back to that, but this is how the games are evolving now. The biggest problem with SWTOR is that if you're gonna go fight a mob and you tag the mob, it turns gray to the other player that's not on your team, which means that you get no credit if you try to help them. So this is what usually happens in the world. You go and you start attacking a mob, and then you'll have like a bunch of people behind you just run right through the mobs, not help you out, and just run straight to the objective to go grab the thing that you needed to complete the quest. I have to sit there and wait for it to respawn. What a dick. This is the dumbest shit I have ever seen, and this is very, very old school, you know? So this is the biggest, one of the biggest problems with the open world part of this game is that like I really hate seeing people around, and I shouldn't feel that way because it is an MMORPG. If we really think about it, like this is not supposed to be a single player game, but this game is treated like a single player game. So yeah, there is that. The auction house can be kind of confusing for new players, especially if you're not into the old school way of being able to manually search for items and manually put prices down of like stacks of items. You can end up messing up a lot on here. So one thing that I learned the hard way is that I posted, for example, I had materials, and it was only like 10 items, so it wasn't a big deal. But I posted the materials on the auction house, and I figured that it would sell it per stack when I listed it. So I listed it for whatever the default was, and the default was like 1,100 or whatever. Basically, what it's doing is it's selling all 10 items for 1,100. You know, instead of selling it for the individual prices. And the way this game works is you sell in bulk. You can't buy individually, you know? So I was supposed to sell it for a little bit over 10,000, but instead, you know, I ripped myself off. So somebody instantly bought it, and I was like, ooh, look, somebody bought it. But it was me messing up. So they were probably laughing their ass off that I made that mistake. So it takes some getting used to get into this. One thing that I really learned is what you want to do is you want to have your calculator out on your computer. I know it sounds annoying, but you're gonna have to alt tab a lot on this game, especially if you're gonna be getting into the auction house, and you have to do the numbers. So you have to do 10 times whatever price you want to sell it. So if you want to sell it for 5,000 a piece, you got to do 5,000 times however many number of things you're putting on there. You know what I mean? And then also another really good tip is that if you hold shift and you click on the item, it actually puts the name of that item into the filter, so you can search it up to see the prices of other competitors that could be selling that too, so that you can price your stuff accordingly, because there's a lot of people that price their stuff extremely high. And the thing is that if you are free to play, you only have a cap of 1 million credits that you can have at any given moment. So essentially, if you get over $1 million in your account, it goes to what they call an escrow account, which means that it's trapped there until you subscribe to get the money out, which is fucking sad. This is like more of the things I'm going to be getting to in a second. The free to play restrictions are pretty heavy in this game. With this, you have to make sure that you're pricing or you're buying things less than $1 million. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to buy it, basically, unless you're subscribed. My get around this was I would sell things for less than $1 million, and then I'll put it into my legacy bank, and that's the only way to really do it. So there is that. At least you can store things in the legacy bank, so that way you don't lose your money completely, you know, so you can still be free to play and still be able to like get around that. But new players are probably not going to know that stuff, so they're just going to go ahead and just make money. Oh shit, I made 2 million on this, and then they realize that they can't use the 2 million because they got to subscribe now to get their money out. It's pretty bullshit. Now let's get into the free to play restrictions. With this, it's very, very heavy. This is the worst free-to-play system I've ever seen in an MMORPG, and it's very predatory and it's very pay-to-win. Basically, you have to look at it like this. You have to pay $15 a month if you want to play the MMO side of the game. If you're okay with playing the single-player side of the game, you can get away with a $15 subscription one time to unlock all the expansions and all that shit. And then that's it. The restrictions are so hardcore on free to play to the point where, one, you can't get endgame gear because you can't equip it unless you have an item. There's like this thing called an artifact authorization bullshit, whatever the fuck. It's on the cash shop and it costs $27, I think. It's pretty goddamn expensive, real life money. Or you can buy it on the auction house for $999 million, you know, like, so it's some bullshit. And this is the only way for you to be able to equip purple and I think even gold items on your thing. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck with greens and blues, which also the PvP if you want a PvP in this game, you have to subscribe because you're basically at a huge disadvantage gear-wise to the people that are actually, you know, subscribed. So this game is very, very pay to win when you ultimately think about it. So if you're already like freaked out about that, then I say don't even bother with this game. But the best part about this game is that if you treat it as a single player game, you will get a ton of content out of this. This game is basically KOTOR 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like it's every Star Wars game that you could possibly imagine, all wrapped into one story wise. So it's definitely worth it to play this as a single player game. But the MMO side of it, you have to pay. Like if you're not subscribed, you're gonna miss out on way too much. Overall, I think this is a really good game to get into. Like I said, if you treat it as a single player game. If you don't treat it as a single player game and you really want the MMO aspect of it, like the raiding, the dungeons, and the PvP, you want to do all those things and you want to get gear and all that, the normal MMO shit, then you're gonna have to pay $15 a month. You have to. Like there's really no way around it. Unless you're willing to spend a lot of money to unlock all the bullshit on the cash shop. Because like I said, that authorization thing to be able to wear the gear is $27. And then also if you want to be able to like not see your helmet, that's like another like $5. And then also if you want to be able to change the colors of your stuff, you're going to have to spend probably another fucking $10. You know what I mean? So it nickels and dimes you a lot if you don't pay for it. And then also the biggest restriction is the whole like having only $1 million in your account at one given time. It doesn't matter if you're preferred status or just free to play status, you still have the same cap. So you're stuck with just living with only $1 million purchases. You know what I mean? So I've gotten to the point where if I'm going to be playing as a free to play, then I keep in mind all the other free to play players when I list stuff on the auction house and all that. That way they could be able to purchase stuff too and enjoy it as much as they can. Because there's a lot of people on the auction house that overcharge like crazy. Like they're putting stuff up for like $200 million easy. And it's like, yo, I can't even fucking buy that shit because I'm free to play. You know what I mean? Like, so it's pretty dumb. And yeah, that's the biggest problem with this game, is that it's not a true MMORPG if you play it for free. Like, I'm just telling you that right now. So do I recommend this game? Yeah, as a single player game. As an MMORPG though, I do not recommend this game at all unless you're willing to pay the $15 a month. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys found this helpful. Leave a comment below of how you feel about this game if you've been playing already. If like I said, if you're interested in playing, it's free to play. Like, it's worth it to at least download it and do the story at least once or something, and then just pretend like it's a single player game and then just uninstall it and go play something else. You know what I mean? Like, you're better off doing that than you know, suffering through all the bullshit of trying to pay $15 a month. I'm still gonna be playing it right now because I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna be subscribing just because I want to see what the expansions are like. And yeah, I just want to see the rest of the game. But anyways, have a good one, y'all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.